Now, Shopify doesn't tell you this, but it can take just one of these orders to screw you over and cause massive issues. So I got one of these orders on my Shopify store recently. I pretty much ignored it because I thought this was triggered by the country that this customer came from. I thought the system was just doing its thing where it's like, oh, somebody who's not from the US, Canada, UK, or Australia must be a scam. I've sold to customers in Mexico on Etsy and other platforms. I'm pretty comfortable doing that. And on top of that, it's just ridiculous to think that someone would try and defraud me of $25. So I went over to my suppliers page to fulfill this order. But the second before I clicked on submit, I thought to myself, wait, hold on a second. Maybe, just maybe I should have just a look into this. And I'm very glad that I did. Now, almost every Shopify seller will get these at some point, but if any of you guys watching have not yet, then take this as a warning. Do not fulfill these orders. Cancel them. If you are using a 3PL or other service, make sure that word gets to them to not fulfill this order as well. This is a sign of a much bigger problem in the e-commerce space of something called chargeback fraud. There's two main ways that this can happen. The first one being friendly fraud. This is when a real customer who's paid for an order on your store then disputes the transaction with their bank or their credit card company to get their money back, basically saying that you as the seller scammed them when they're actually the one scamming you. Just basically abusing the chargeback process when they have actually received the product. Now, this here from the chargeback field report from last year shows that friendly fraud has increased over time, especially since and sellers in general report it as a much bigger problem than criminal fraud. Now, as people shop online, this problem is only going to increase. And credit card companies are usually on the side of the customer. A lot of the time, they just reverse the money back. They just give it back without questioning anything. To an extent, this is good for society in general because you'd think that there's a lot more scammy, crappy dropshipping stores out there than customers trying to do friendly fraud, right? I mean, if you've charged back anything yourself before, you'll know that it's very annoying to get ripped off when you buy stuff online. But as a seller, it's important to be aware of this problem and the fact that customers can potentially defraud you by doing this. Now, even if the customer charges back, why is that even a problem? It's just $24, right? Well, one problem is that card schemes monitor your chargeback rate and you can get fined for it. Minor inconvenience at worst, but the bigger problem is that if you get a certain number of chargebacks, Shopify will suspend payments for your store, that certain number sometimes being 1. Now, we'll talk about this later. Now, friendly fraud is not the only reason an order can be marked as high risk. Sometimes the customer may be using a stolen or illegitimate credit card. Obviously, that could result in a chargeback as well, not from friendly fraud, but from the actual legitimate card holder, right? So this was the fraud analysis for my Shopify order, which shows that the CVV and billing address was not available and the registered address does not match. At this first point here, the characteristics of this order are similar to fraudulent orders observed in the past. Now, Shopify can actually detect this kind of behavior through an AI algorithm. But how do we know that this algorithm is accurate at all and it's not just making guesses based on the customer's location or other random factors? Well, one look at this here thread I'm about to show you should tell you everything. You can find this here thread on Reddit, but pretty much everybody's saying to cancel because when they have ignored these high-risk order alerts, they have been charged back. Almost every time. Now, Shopify doesn't tell you this, but it can take just one of these orders to screw you over and cause massive issues with your payments. Here's a customer who had their funds held from just one high-risk order. Here is another seller who had just one high-risk and one medium-risk order, and their payments have been put on hold again for a whole 120 days, which is just unbelievable, really. And if you end up getting multiple of these, fulfilling them, and then getting charged back, you can eventually get banned from Shopify payments altogether. Then you are actually screwed. Like, you're on your own, you're in WordPress territory, basically. Now, obviously, Shopify is not the only website builder out there, but it's definitely one of the best for small businesses to build high converting stores. And if you just been spending all this time learning Shopify, then it's definitely something that you don't want to happen. So what can you do about this? Is very simple. You just open the order and you cancel it. You go to the top right, click on more actions, and then you see a drop down option that says cancel. This will refund the money back to whatever credit card it came from and avoid you getting royally screwed over. Now, hopefully this video saves some people their Shopify accounts. If you want to get warned about stuff like this in advance when I discover it, make sure to subscribe and turn on the notifications. And to see how I make print-on-demand sales for free on Shopify, you can watch this video here on screen right now, and I will see you guys in the next one.